Jackson is starting an exercise program. Now, in this case, this is an example of an arithmetic sequence. You can do an arithmetic sequence by a sub n equals a1 plus d times n minus 1, where d is the common difference. In this case, in the context of the word problem, the common difference is 2 minutes each day. Now, unfortunately, d in the general formula stands for difference. But in this case of what they want you to write, D is going to stand for days. So I apologize for the confusion, but they mean two different things. So what I do is I'm going to use a general rule here. T of D equals, well, my starting amount is 30 minutes, okay? The common difference is 2. This n minus 1 part is a formality, but unfortunately this has to be a d because if you're writing t of d, all your variables have to be d. Okay, so again, I understand that in the original context of the equation that d represents difference, but in this case, d represents days. I hope that's not too confusing. T of d equals 30 plus 2 times d minus 1. This would give you full credit. And the bottom it's here, it says find t of 6, the minutes he will spend on the treadmill on day 6. So all you're doing is plugging in 6, and then you're plugging in 6 for d. So I plug in 6 for d, I simplify, and I get about 40 minutes. Okay? This basically suggests that I'm doing the time on a treadmill on day 6 is 40 minutes. Number 33 is asking you to graph a parabola and an exponential on a skewed graph. So if I wanted to graph y equals x squared, I know I'm at 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, 4, 16, and then I believe 5 is off the graph. To give you an idea, I put in y equals x squared, then I went to second graph, which takes me to my table, and I basically just plotted all these points 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, 4, 16, and like I said, 5, 25 is off the graph. Now what I want to do is graph y equals 2 to the x. I'm going to label this one because I have more than one graph on an axis. 2 to the x power. 2 to the 0 is 1. 2 to the first is 2. 2 to the second is 4. 2 to the third is 8. 2 to the 4 is 16. 2 to the 5th is 32 is off the graph. Okay, so your graph would look something like that. When you have more than one graph, please label them. They are so closely related that it's kind of hard to tell the difference, but do the best that you can. State which function, f of x or g of x, is greater when x equals 20. So when you have y equals 20 squared or y equals 2 to the 20th. Okay, so what I'm going to do is simply put both of those values into my calculator. I'm going to do 20 squared, and then I'm going to do 2 to the 20th power. Notice 2 to the 20th power is over 1,000,000. Okay, so this was my g of x, and this was my f of x. Justify your reasoning. I would just say g of x has a greater value because 2 to the 20th is over 1,000,000. Solve for x algebraically. So what I do here is I simplify by distributing. I get negative 12x plus 24. Now remember, when like terms are on the same side, combine them with the given operation. Do not do opposite operations. So I'm going to continue on here. Plus 3x. I get negative 2x plus 24 is less than or equal to 12. Now remember, when you divide by a negative number, you have to switch the sign around. When you divide an inequality by a negative, turn the sign around. Okay, so this is your answer. Now, and the next question says, if x is a number in the interval Now this is called interval notation. That means we're looking at the numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. These are the integers that we're looking at. This is notation. I want to include 4 and 8. If x is in the number in this set, state all the integers. Remember, an integer is a positive or negative whole number. So out of the positive and negative whole numbers, since x is greater than or equal to 6, the only numbers that work out of 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are 6, 7, and 8. The reason why I include 6 is because it says x is greater than or equal to 6.